Good morning. Those who are on the left-hand side of Japan, and good afternoon, those that who are on the right-hand side of Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, friends from APO member countries and around the world, greetings from Thailand Productivity Institute in Bangkok, Thailand. FTPI is the National Productivity Organization for Thailand and member of the Asian Productivity Organization, APO. The APO is the leading intergovernmental organization promoting productivity, fostering innovation, and improving competitiveness across its 21 member countries in Asia and Pacific, with the secretariat based in Tokyo, Japan. I am Dr. Phanit Laosirirat, the APO Alternate Director and NPO Head of Thailand and Executive Director of FTPI. Today we have a very interesting and very useful topic, and which we have heard about this for the last 10 years. When we are talking about services and digital economy, basically it means that we codify economic activities into binary, which is 0 and 1. Computers and machines take over activities that previously are dependent on human intervention. It is fast and mostly error-free. So in terms of productivity improvement, without any doubt, it will increase productivity as much as more than 20%. However, this transformation to digital would be less productive when only certain groups in the society can enjoy this digital transformation. For example, we have to talk a lot about those, we call it unskilled labor forces there, and also traditional SME, how we can bring this group to enjoy this transformation. Of course, there are many questions that need to answer about this transformation. Those who don't want to transform because their products are still sellable in the market, what we are going to do with them? Because we know that those are not sustained. Transformation is hard and expensive. Now, let me introduce you to our main presenter in today's APO Top Talk. We will be talking about productivity in services and digital economy around Asia and Pacific. Today, we have great fortune of inviting the CEO of Dean of Asian Development Bank Institute, Dr. Tetsushi Sonobe, on stage to share his insight. Good afternoon, Dr. Sonobe.
Good afternoon, Dr. Phanit.
I hope you are doing well. Yeah, I hope you are doing well. Thank you, Dr. Sonobe, for your warm presentation or greeting to our viewers around the world. Please allow me to further introduce you, Dr. Sonobe. Dr. Sonobe is the Dean and CEO of Asian Development Bank Institute. What we call it ADBI is a Tokyo-based think tank of Asian Development Bank that promotes the reorganization of a prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable Asia and Pacific through policy research and capacity building. Born in 1960, I think we are on the same age, Dr. Sonobe. In Tokyo, he was born in Tokyo. Dean Sonobe obtained his PhD in economics from Yale University and business administration in economics from University of Tokyo. His research interests include the empirics of economic development, particularly industrial development, especially in processes, and poverty reduction in developing countries. In this APO Top Talk, Dr. Sonobe will describe how productivity in the services and digital economy will be critical to sustain the economic competitiveness of APO. Members on the of APO members on the heels of what we call right now is the post-COVID-19 pandemic recovery. In advanced economies, including USA, United Kingdom, and Japan, the service and digital economy constitutes around 70% of the annual GDP. Manufacturing is undoubtedly essential, but the biggest contributor to GDP is in services and digital economy. Therefore, it is important to look at the productivity in these services and digital economy sector as we look to recover from the pandemic. Without further ado, I now pass the floor to Dr. Sonobe, and the floor is open to you, Dr. Sonobe, and thank you in advance for your presentation that you are going to present. Please, Dr. Sonobe, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Phanit, for very kind introduction of myself and my institute, Asian Development Bank Institute in Tokyo. It's a great honor and a pleasure for me to participate in this APO productivity talk or top talk as the main presenter. I'm going to share my presentation slides. The topic is the productivity in the services and digital economy, or SDE, in Asia and the Pacific. So service and digital economy is going on, and also productivity growth is going on, and then this talk combine both. And I think it's very important to take these two things, or actually three things: productivity, services, and digital economy into consideration together. So I will discuss, or I will argue and share my thoughts about the reason why it's very important. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. And then, first of all, I should have said, good afternoon, everyone watching this talk. Nice to meet you, although virtually. So let's start the presentation. And then services and the digital economy is just a combination of two concepts: service economy and digital economy. And service economy means the kind of changes in the society in which an increasing number of businesses, firms, regardless of their sectors or industries, try to differentiate their products or services from competitors by providing additional and unique services to give more pleasure, more benefits to their customers, and by doing so, they will make a greater profit. And the digital economy means that an increasing number of businesses, regardless of their sectors and industries, use digital technologies to improve the productivity or product quality or service quality, or the level of marketing and the financing and management, which has been made possible by digital technology progress and the increasingly ubiquitous connectivity to internet. Next, please. So one of my points is service and the digital economy is not about industrial structure. So not about changes toward service sector. I'm not talking about like the argument like only the service sector using digital technology thrive, and then manufacturing and agriculture decline. That kind of image some of you might have about the services and the digital economy, but I'm saying that every sector, the businesses try to add services by using the digital technology. So in the case of farmers, for example, let's look back to the very old period when the farmers are doing subsistence agriculture. So they are just producing food for their own consumption, plus giving taxes to their lords or kings, and also they pay land rent to their landowners. So they are very poor. But then some farmers could supply their food or crop to market. That means they produce cash crop. But unfortunately, the owners might be, just get cash, but the farmers are still poor. And then much greater, value could be created if the products are differentiated by, branding, like, the cheese, wine, or vinegar produced in some European countries are world famous. And then that brand makes, lead to a greater profit. But unfortunately, in the previous times, those profits were appropriated by the aristocrats or churches, not by farmers. But more recently, those cash crops were produced, and not just produced by, but also managed by, and also planned by farmers. So this photo, left below left part, is a package of very expensive rice produced in the Niigata prefecture, one part of Niigata prefecture in Japan, which is very, very expensive, very, very high value. So the farmers themselves are, branding and marketing. So farmers are not just, doing agriculture, but they are doing kind of service activities, marketing and branding and those things. And then now they are now using e-commerce. They are, skipping the intermediaries, traders. So they directly, get in touch with the consumers and customers, and they are collecting information on the preference, tastes of individual customers to, expand their business and make it more profitable. So they are increasing the use of the digital technologies, and then I don't know what nice things will take place in future. Next. So how about manufacturers? Here again, you see the kind of history, and then you see the increasing services and the use of digital things. Like in all the time, the manufactured goods are produced by artisans or putters out system or factory system, but the level of differentiation was very little. Then the differentiated products are produced. And then moreover, those differentiated products like, T model Ford automobiles were produced on mass production system. And then 40s, 50s, 60s, and then increasing scale of research and development investment to improve the technology, and also the developing completely new products. But at the same time, there were, as you know, industrial engineering, statistical quality control before the war, and then after the war, Kaizen, Toyota production system, and total quality control, and then total quality management. These things are about quality control. That means they are increasing the attention to consumer satisfaction and services. And then, why not just developing new products and new technologies and improving productivity and quality control, but more kind of care or more attention to the satisfaction of consumers. Like, let's go to the left, below left. So, do you remember this is Sony's product called Walkman, which was revolutionary because people could enjoy music while walking, even before this product, but that was a radio, programs. But people wanted to listen to their favorite music, so kind of on-demand service started here. So Sony, introduced on-demand kind of small item, small gadget that allowed consumers to enjoy their favorite thing. And then the size became even smaller when it came to the iPod, and then where digitalization took place. So they do not need, cassette, but they could choose a variety of, items from internet. And then it, as you know, the iPhone changed the world, paving the way for platform business models and many other things. And then we don't know what will take place in future. But as you see, more and more service. And even in the, Sony didn't go digitalization as soon as some others. But Sony went to the, movie and other content business, purchasing the big company Columbia Pictures Industries in the late 1980s. And also Sony started Sony Computer Entertainment. So Sony went to game industry. So that's also a kind of, tendency toward more and more services. Next. And then digital innovation is going on in the, service sector. So platformers, what they did is, what they are doing is matching and then establishing trust framework, like, consumers and producers are not just matched, but, when it comes to the payment, you need some kind of trust relationship. And then the very, several centuries ago, or only even the 1 century ago, it was very difficult to establish trust relationship. That was the reason why the merchants and traders were important. They played important role in, intermediating the transaction, because they could do that because they had trust relationship with, consumers, but also they had another trust relationship with producers. So they could intermediate. But now, consumers and producers, although they don't know each other at all, but they could trust each other because of the reputation or rating system. So that's a new type of trust framework. So that reduced the so-called transaction cost drastically. And then the platformers created ecosystem, on-demand multi-services available, and then also even the payment, digital payment available on only single application on your small smartphone. So that's very convenient. And then now the platformers or other people in digital world business are, connecting internet and big data and artificial intelligence to see what kind of things the consumers are, needing and what kind of things they are appreciating. So the producers and the platformers can, very directly to, go to the niche market, niche sector to make greater profits. And then platformers are not these days just, connecting the, producers or providers and consumers or users, but also they are approaching the manufacturer or, conventional businesses to, participate in the designing of products or new services in order to give, provide greater satisfaction for consumers, and by doing so, making more profit for themselves. And then, what will happen in future all depends on what kind of disruptive technologies emerge in future. Next. So service provider, let's skip this. So next, please. So not only manufacturers, farmers, manufacturers, service sectors, they are all increasing services. And then that's happening even at my own, organization. Yeah, so toward the bottom of this slide, even ADBI provides e-learning program, it says. Yes, my institute is a think tank. It's a kind of public think tank. We are now producing and delivering the e-product called e-learning program, which is very user-friendly because users can choose, take, course at any time, free of charge, and they can choose any topic out of the kind of broad range of development issues. And then they can trace their own progress, and also they can get a certificate after learning something from taking one course. Next, please. Yeah, we are providing a variety of issues, and then in this slide, the top 5 most popular topics are shown. Next. And then we started this e-learning program last year, about the same season as this. So it passed 1 year, and then within 1 year, number of users became 100 times bigger. And then our social media followers are, increasing drastically, and also online news subscribers increasing rapidly. So we are also going to digital, and then we are, providing better service, more convenient services to our audience. Next. And then here is a result of a part of our findings from the survey of small and medium enterprises in Asia. This survey was conducted together with APO and NPOs in these 8 countries. And then we asked the enterprise profile, business environments after the COVID-19 outbreak, and then their responses to this crisis, and then their evaluation of government policies, and then their effort or response to the increasing digitalization tendency. And then, as you see in the first column in this table, first column, the numbers show the percentage of firms in our sample that is using something like e-commerce or digital things. And then, except for Mongolia, or Bangladesh, majority of survey firms said they are using e-commerce. And then among those firms that are using e-commerce, what the percentage of sales revenues coming from the e-commerce? Then some said more than 50%, some said 20%. Yeah, it depends on in countries or also their industries. And then we also asked the firms about their plan to use or expand their use of e-commerce. Then the majority of countries, our sample firms said they are definitely increase the use of e-commerce and other digital payment kind of thing. But this survey, the sample is kind of biased because our sample firms are all the clients of national productivity organizations. So they are not the same as, very ordinary firms in each country. And then, but Asian Development Bank headquarters conducted the survey separately from ADBI, APO survey. They also had, survey, but on a much bigger scale. And then I think the surveys have more nationally represented sample. And then some of the findings from their surveys will be presented in a webinar tomorrow. And then I think APO, Secretariat will provide you some information about where to register for the webinar of ADB headquarters tomorrow. Yes, if you are interested, please. Now, toward the bottom of this slide, you see the URL of the registration site. Yeah, if you are interested, please join in that headquarters webinar tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, I think 2 p.m. in the Manila time or 3 p.m. in Japan Standard Time. Okay, then next, please. And now, so much for the services and the digital economy, and then let me turn to productivity. So, of course, to maintain and to maintain your business and then to make your business bigger in future, then what is important is to maintain high productivity. And then for the productivity growth, you need to use best practice and the best use of digital technology. But this is what every firm should do. And if you are interested in making a little more success, then what you should do? Then the answer is that you should add services. That's a tendency for many decades or even centuries. So you should add services to bring more satisfaction to your customers. So you should create higher value for customers. And then for that purpose, you need to differentiate your services. And then to do so, what is needed? Maybe what is needed is the more use of digital technology. Next. Yes. But it's very easy to say so, but there is a problem because when you try to provide your customers better service, but who actually provide service to your customers? That's your workers. That's not you yourself. So the question is, how can you make sure that your workers provide differentiated services, good services for your customers in a manner that you like. So here the story, one story about Jeff Bezos, the founder and the leader of Amazon, is very useful. I heard this story from my former boss. I used to be a professor at the university called the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies in Tokyo, or GRIPS in Japan. And then the current president of GRIPS, who is my former boss, this president used to be a president of JICA. So he's a famous professor. At the same time, he was used to be a CEO of the big organization. And then he was invited to a kind of association of the rich business persons in the United States. So he went to the Los Angeles, and then from there he was taken in a private jet to somewhere, and then he arrived, and then he talked. He delivered his kind of speech as a resource person. Then he found that another resource person invited to that association meeting of very rich, successful businessman in the US was Jeff Bezos. And then he found that Jeff Bezos keep talking passionately for about 1 hour. And then what Bezos talked about was, it's very important to make sure that your workers work for your customers, and then for customer satisfaction. So every worker should work in that way. So every worker should think as if the worker is a kind of president of the Amazon as a whole, not just do what they are told to do, but they themselves should think what is the consumer satisfaction. So for the year of my former boss, former president of the JICA, the Bezos talk was, perfectly the same as talk of Kaizen. Okay, and then, but anyway, so what is important is to make sure that your workers to work in that way, always thinking of consumer satisfaction. But Bezos didn't talk about how to do that. How can you make sure that your workers behave like that? Next. So that means it is really the key to the success to make sure that your workers behave like that. So now this slide explains why I'm talking about emphasizing so much about consumer satisfaction. That's I think I need to this today. Yeah. Now, in order to increase the consumer satisfaction, we have to increase the quality of your service, products and services. That's of course, but also we have to think about that in this way. Okay, in order to make productivity higher, then usually people start from this thing, sorting out. So I think many of today's audience should know the 5S. And then what is the first 5S? First S in 5S? That's sorting out. So you should sort out what is needed, what is not needed, or what increases consumer satisfaction, what is not increasing consumer satisfaction. So you have to, sort out. And then when you think about what is, increasing consumer satisfaction or value for customers. Yeah, it was difficult to, capture that in the previous times. So the many manufacturers or many service providers think about the kind of average people. And then they try to, design the product or design their services so that they can capture the, majority of people. So they try to make their product or service or kind of liked by the everyone. But today, you don't have to follow that strategy because now today, increasing number of your consumers, your customers are using e-commerce. So window of opportunity is gradually opening for firms trying to reach consumer directly. And then you can get some information from your customers, and then you can know who loves what type of service or product. Okay, so you can distinguish and differentiate more and more. And then there are huge diversity in the preference. Okay, if you think, oh, this kind of product or this kind of service can be purchased by only a particular type of people, but if you can correctly capture that type of people, then the size of market is not very small compared with your operation size. Then focusing on that kind of niche sector may be a good idea because competition is less intensive. Okay, next, please. So that's one of the suggestion. And then another suggestion is, how can you, encourage your workers to behave like, a person who care the consumer satisfaction very much. So here is one suggestion. Yeah, so Kaizen, and then that the Kaizen came from Japan after the war. But some of you may know that Japanese companies are not doing Kaizen these days because the Japanese firms' way of implementing Kaizen was quality control circle. Maybe next, please. No, sorry, go back. Yeah. So I'm number two. So QC circle was very popular in Japan. So maybe 70–80% of firms, or even more, had lots of QC quality control circles. And then Japanese workers are enthusiastically, working on learning Kaizen and then trying to improve their operations. But these days, QC circle is not popular. The relatively young people in Japan, cannot be so enthusiastic about that kind of activities, and then they are, not really motivated because they don't have experience for growth for the last 30–40 years. So young people have never experienced the situation in which if you work hard today, then something good will take place tomorrow. So for young people, every day is the same. So they cannot really, cannot be very happy with, activity like a QC circle. But of course, in order to, from the company's point of view, in order to increase productivity or improve quality control, the Kaizen is must. Then how to motivate the workers, that's very important. And then it's very difficult for anyone to change the way of doing something. So many firms cannot find a new solution about good motivation for such workers. But some firms are successful. For example, one company in number 4 semiconductor machinery maker is now using within firm virtual currency. Okay, so all tasks come up for auction. So workers are given a virtual currency that is usable within the company, and then they bid for task. Oh, I buy that task, and then I do that task. Well, when they want to, spend time, not producing or not working, but learning something, they have to pay. So that kind of system next was adopted, and then everybody is working on Kaizen enthusiastically. So they are motivated to do Kaizen not through the circle activity, but in a very individualistic way. And then by using the currency and auction, the companies can see the value of each task and so extract more information. So about their workers. But at the same time, the company is extracting more information from their customers by directly dealing with customers. So they combine the two sets of information to create better services for their customers, and also more satisfaction for their workers in order to encourage workers to work more and more. So wrapping up, so service and digital economy is not about change in a particular way of changing the industrial structure in the economy, but the service and digital economy is kind of across the board tendency or inclination to add more value for customers by using, making greater use of digital technology. And what will take place next is very difficult to foresee. So we have to be very careful, very keen about getting information about the emergence of new technologies and new practices using those technologies. So even at my own institute, kind of public organization, but even at my place, we are trying to change our business model drastically in response to this COVID situation, as well as rapidly advancing digital technology. And then number three, at the same time, we try to differentiate our services, which is benefit our customers, and at the same time, increase our own profits or satisfaction. And then how to make sure that our workers provide better services for consumers or customers. Yeah, so nobody knows the best solution, but most likely those solutions exist in the digital transformation. Of course, digital transformation is possible only where the majority of people are using have good access to internet, but that situation will come to every country in 5 years or 10 years. So even if you are in such economies where the access to internet is still limited, but you should start preparing for the new era. And those who are in the economies where the already digital technology is abundantly used, then you should think more about how to increase services by using digital technologies. Okay, I stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. Back to Dr. Phanit.
Great. Listening to your presentation, I think there are many questions comes to mind. But before the questions, what I get from your presentation is that in the future, I think I came across this phrase that talking about in the future, everything is services. It doesn't matter that you are manufacturing, you are farmers that as you presented, but one day, because the thing that you produce has to be sold at the end of the day. So that means that everything is services, and and you can stay in this new economy or not. Right now, it seems to me that it's not a choice, that it is a must that you need to transform. You need to use digital technologies, and right now there are plenty of those in the market. But again, here in I don't know, but over other countries, but in Thailand, I want to telling you a short, very short story about a restaurant which is very popular. But every time when I go, I have to stay in line, and the line is wrapped around the building 3 rounds actually.
Wow, so popular.
But so when I talk to the owner of the restaurant, so why don't you use internet for reservation? You don't have to go and wait in line like that. They say that I'm not. They are not. He's not interested because he said that his product or his service still sellable. Still, there are plenty of customers are waiting. So this is one of the dilemmas that I think most of the APO member countries are facing. That how can we convince those SMEs or those organizations that this is not the way to do business. This is someday. I think if you have a very competitor, I think your operation is not sustained. But what do you recommend to these owners or these SME that you need to transform actually? Dr. Sonobe, that's a question.
Okay, thank you very much for the tough question. Yeah, I think it's very difficult to convince such business owners who are enjoying the high profit without changing the business model or changing the way of serving the customers. Yes, so yeah, I think it's there may be some way, but it's okay to leave them, enjoying the good business until the customers abandon the restaurant. So finding another restaurant might poach the chef or cook from the popular restaurant, or just imitate the kind of similar dishes, menus, and succeed in providing nice services for consumers, customers. Then that currently successful restaurant owners have to think about changing the business model. So it's okay if that type of currently successful people, just enjoying the current success. But let's think about the kind of newly emerging people. Yeah, so for them, definitely something new is needed. Yeah.
I see. Okay, that's a very specific question. But I also have some questions for you, Dr. Sonobe, additional one. So what is your advice in terms of policy body, government body? That, what is your advice to member countries when it comes to improving productivity and innovation for services and digital economy? So what is your thought about this?
Yes. So there are at least one kind of classification of the things to do. So one is those public one. Another is a private or grassroots one. So public one, of course, the more provision of hard digital infrastructure. So better access to internet for more people, or not only the capital city, but other cities or even the rural areas. That's one. And then another important things that the public sector should do is development of soft infrastructure or institutions or kind of policies. For example, consumer protection or the protection of the micro, small, and medium enterprises, and then or even the gig workers, like those workers who are delivering food for platformers. Yeah, because and also the protection of privacy. So as more and more people use digital technology, then there are more and more, greater and greater risks or uncertainty or risk of private privacy kind of infractions or the kind of cheating or the those digital crimes. So the government should protect the people from that kind of thing. So that kind of institution building is also important for public sector. And then the private side, then the owners, managers should acquire more knowledge about digital technologies and then the newly emerging best practices. And then for those entrepreneurs or business people, the National Productivity Organization can play a very important role for helping them, right? So both sides. And then I think for the private sector, NPOs should be, hold the key to the success of their economy's future development.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I have alluded to this scenario during the beginning of my during the starting of the talk, that transforming to this digital economy and to be productive in the services that you are doing, it's difficult. It is very hard. Sometimes some say that it's the goal is very far fetched. It's a very long kind of very difficult vision, and but again, but everyone is realized that they have to do something about it. Do you have any advice that could services and digital economy be productive and even as industrial, not only in the service sector itself, but in the manufacturing? That what is your advice connecting these two together, industry, manufacturing to services, and so what is your thought about this? Because
Yeah,
it is difficult. It is difficult.
yeah. I think firstly, it is important to recognize that this is a kind of long-term change. Okay, so it's not about 2 years, 5 years change, but it's very long run and continuing. So you don't have to rush. You can start gradually, but anyway, you have to go towards that direction. For example, maybe in the previous generation, the business owners might say that I'm producing this product because my father was producing this, and then this product is still sellable. That's why I'm producing this. And then that business owner do not pay much attention to their customers. But now the, customers, preference is changing rapidly, and then they are influenced by the kind of new cultures in the other, country. So their taste is changing rapidly. So even though the product was very popular until today, but something big different shock may come. So the businessman should be prepared. And then now platformers match consumers and producers better than before. And then because your competitors or potential competitors can take advantage of that kind of matching service by platformers like e-commerce. So then your potential or direct competitors are already reaching the big market, big consumer directly. And then if you remain the same as before, then you'll be left behind and then you will lose any profit. So you have to change gradually at least. But what is important is eventually the more kind of human thing, not just the use of technology. Use of technology is just a matter of getting someone who are very familiar with those new technologies. Yeah, you can just hire that person, but how to use that person and then how to use those new knowledge or information with your workers who are not engineers, who are not so intellectual, but who have been very faithful to you and then eager or willing to work with you. So you have to take care of those people, and then you have to train them and yourself, and then you have to transform your own team. So that's the role of the leader. So I think that part of management or business remains the same as before.
I see. Okay. Thank you. And this is probably we don't have much time left. And let me ask you final question, Dr. Sonobe. And it's uh, uh, as part of the Asian Development Bank family, the ADBI is ranked top 10 global think tank. What is your advice you can give to APO member countries in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic? Do you have any recommendation or tips?
Yeah, so that reputation or that high ranking is a kind of pressure for me. I became the dean of ADB Institute last April, and then in 2019, the ADB, my institute became #1 in the world as a government-affiliated think tank, and then I have to maintain that position. So that's a big pressure on me. That's why, as soon as I became the dean, I started those new things in response to COVID-19. For example, I increased the kind of e-products, as I said, e-learning and those things, and then started webinars like this talk very quickly, and then expanding. So we have been changing business model before because ADBI's previous business model was invite government officials to Tokyo and then provide the training programs, or we go other countries to make a presentation about our research findings. But now everything is through webinars and those things, and then also workers are all working from home. how to motivate, how to manage them. Those things are so. What is important is, I think, the quick or nimble adjustment. But for that purpose, we need to keep vigilant or paying attention to those newly available technologies, newly available anything tools. At the same time, very warm mind to and then passion to work together. So I think with that spirit, every organization can, and also every individual can overcome the COVID-19. And then, yeah, we should go in that way. I believe.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sonobe. I think that very good advice. Now we have come now to the end of our APO Productivity Top Talk. It's on the subject of productivity in services and digital economy. Thank you very much, Dr. Sonobe, again for taking this question from our live audience. And I have been it has been very fruitful discussion, and I am grateful that for the deep insight from you. I wish I want to give you just a little bit more time, very short, that you want to say something, some advice to our member country, to our APO family. You have just 10 seconds, son of it.
Yeah, so APO and ADBI are working together to collect data from SMEs in Asia, 8 countries, as I introduced. So we are going to the second round. So please give us your big cooperation with this survey. So yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sonobe. And ladies and gentlemen, our audience around the world, and as you know that we are facing with the disruption by the industry 4.0, and coupled with the COVID-19, and it creates what we call the fundamental shift in the manufacturing sector and the global economy worldwide, and COVID-19 only accelerate these changes. And the service and digital economy may be present as a potential hope for our economy to recover. But this journey is likely to be protect in Asia and Pacific region, which we have already invested a lot of effort to build up their economies. And the APO again will host this useful top talk featuring top leaders in government, industry, and academic fields, and with the aim of building economic resilience and business continuity throughout the APO. And please also stay tuned for our series on productivity top talk, featuring world-leading experts and guest speakers such as CEO and such as you, Dr. Sonobe, and to look at the topic that address socio-economic development, inclusiveness, and productivity in APO region, which is already staged in our Vision 2025 already. Until then, here I'm wishing you well, your health. I'm wishing you health. You have strong health, and COVID cannot touch you, and very best for you and your family. With joy and peace. May you and your loved one be in the very best of health during this tough season. Thank you, and see you again, Dr. Sonobe, and goodbye. And ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for attending this session for the APO Top Talk. And until we see you again, goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.